The Lagos State government has clarified the content of a leaked memo of its Ministry of Health, which claimed that the state government approved 61,285,000 naira for the mass burial of 103 persons identified as 2020 EndSARS victims has gone viral on social media, sparking outrage. In a statement issued yesterday, the state government said the bodies were recovered from different parts of the state during and after the protests, and that none of the 103 bodies were recovered from the Lekki toll gate in October 2020 during the EndSARS protest against police brutality. Lagos State government further stated that, and I quote, "Peddlers of the news are deliberately misinterpreting and sensationalizing a letter from the Lagos State Government Public Procurement Agency titled Letter of No Objection, Mass Burial for the 103, the year 2020 EndSARS victims to misinform the public, stir public sentiment, and cause public disaffection against the Lagos State government." End of quote. However, EndSARS victims' lawyers differ from this claim and holds a different view entirely. Joining us now on the show to discuss this latest development is Dele Farotimi, a lawyer and one of the defendants of EndSARS victims. Good morning, Mr. Farotimi, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Ayo. It's a pleasure being with you.
Good morning, Dele Farotimi. Well, I thought someone quoted you earlier this morning that you claim that you disagree with the Lagos State government because the Lagos State government has issued a very detailed explanation along the lines that Ayo pointed out, to wit that the 103 victims being referred to did not die at the Lekki toll gate, and that in fact when the chief coroner called on the public to come and identify if they had anybody in the state morgue, that nobody came forward. And in the report of the panel of inquiry that was set up, it was not indicated anywhere that bodies were picked up at the Lekki toll gate. What's your reaction to this development, which went viral during the weekend?
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Rufai, good morning to you as well.
Morning, sir.
You know, the thing about the truth is that it requires no embellishments. The unfortunate thing, or maybe the fortunate thing about lies, is that they are always short-lived. They are the proverbial abiku. That is what lies actually are. I remember sitting in your studio a couple of years ago, and I recall telling you at the time that if the Lagos State government would dare to allow the panel to do its work, it would be stripped naked in daylight. That there are more than sufficient evidences in the public space that will render it impossible for them to get away with the lies that they were busy concocting. Let me be clear. I hold the press responsible for the capacity of the Nigerian state to tell these nauseating lies and get away with them. Because, Doctor, the report of the panel, which is different from the white paper, the report of the panel was emphatic in concluding that there was a massacre at Lekki toll gate. We are not dealing with the paucity of evidence. We are dealing with the readiness of human beings to collaborate with evil, to acculturate evil, and to normalize, explain it. It's no longer about whether it happened or it did not happen. DJ Switch, God bless her soul, at risk to her life, she had a live Instagram feed. That is not a recording that was posted, a live feed. I saw victims, people with bullet wounds. I, in conjunction with many others, dealt with victims. The same Lagos State government that has continued to deny what is slapping it in the face is even paining me that my dear friend, Mr. Omotosho, is not available to come and help them amplify these lies again. They will continue to lie about what... Look, let's deal with the facts as we know them right now. The panel was emphatic. There was a massacre. That one, let them stop all that gaslighting and obfuscating. So if you say these 103 people were not the ones that were picked up from the toll gate, if human life truly matters in our country, where were these ones picked up? Exactly where? The entire purpose of the coroner's law is so that you have accountability for even for the dead.
No, a list is
provided. But when the state is the one actively seeking to cover the truth.
A list is provided. A list of places where some of those bodies were picked up, is provided or was provided.
Doctor,
including Ikoyi
the Lagos state government will prefer. That is a blatant, horrible, easily verifiable lie. People can go look, doctor, the Lagos state government will prefer that we are having this back and forth about the nitty-gritty of the facts, but the facts are not in dispute. The same Sanwo-Olu and co who are busy denying what took place, they paid cash. They paid cash to victims. The lawyers who actually appeared in court, Babashino Ogunlana, Ayo Ademiluyi, they will tell you as a fact that victims that were represented by them, numbering over 20, at least those who survived with wounds, they were paid in cash, millions in cash. Baba Ogunlana Ademiluyi had to refuse to accept what was offered to them. So when they come out and they start telling these lies, I'm not speaking out of hatred for anybody, but I refuse on behalf of those who have died, as long as you have a mic in front of me, I refuse to help them normalize the lies they are telling. But to even now deal with something that everybody appears to be forgetting. Not only have you denied the humanity of these persons by denying that they were killed, 103 people are going to be given mass burials.
Hello, Dele Farotimi, are you still there?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay, we'll take a short break while we try to re-establish connection with our guest, Dele Farotimi, who has been talking about the 103 victims of the NSAS and the aftermath that the Lagos state government has had to respond to over the weekend. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still Dele Farotimi, a lawyer and one of the defendants of NSAS victims. Dele Farotimi, good to have you back. If you may just conclude your thoughts. You were talking about the 103 victims for mass burial.
I was explaining that beyond the inanities that they will prefer that we focus on, it is critical that we look even at the document itself. You want to bury 103 human beings whose humanity you have denied, who are not in any way, shape, or form acknowledged as beings, but you have voted 61 million naira. So on each one of them, you are telling us you want to bury each one of them for 500,000. Even in burying the evidence of your complicities, you have to inflate the cost of their burial. They mean nothing. And those who are busy defending them and who want us to be having this insane discussion about whether it happened or it did not happen, because it happened. Let us just focus on making sure things like this do not happen in our country again. We can't normalize this by sweeping it under the carpet. That is the entire purpose of making sure that this is not swept under the carpet. It cannot and must not be allowed to be swept under the carpet. These are some people's children. These are some other persons, maybe fathers, mothers. We don't even have the benefit of knowing who they are. This was the same thing that happened in 1993 when Abacha was taking over this country. People were slaughtered and buried in unmarked graves all over the place. The same thing is what has happened in broad daylight in front of all of us, and they are putting it in front of us in broad daylight, and they are still denying it in spite of all of the evidences. What we saw, what was leaked, it was one of their own who leaked it. If they had had the opportunity to deny it completely, they would have denied it. But this has been brought to light because you cannot bury the truth.
All right, Mr. Farotimi.
So please, the Nigerian press has a duty.
Yes. Mr. Farotimi, let me come in here, please. And that's, let me just, you said something,
please.
that these are people's relatives, fathers, mothers, children. And this is also one of the claims of that statement released by the Lagos state government, saying that we've had 3 years in between from 2020, and that they put out a notice, the chief coroner put out a notice for people to come out to claim the 103. The big question, or the question that a number of Nigerians ask is, why have the families of these 103 not come out to identify them? Why has there not been a report of missing people? What is the concern? Why have people not come out? That's what a number of people have been asking in terms of these, the massacre, the number of people dead.
Ayo, let me attempt to shed some light on that. And this is because I closely identified with most of these people, and I know the peculiarities of some of the issues. On the 20th of October, a curfew was declared. But beyond that curfew being declared, something else happened. There are people in this Lagos state today who belong to different WhatsApp forums, who on their forum received messages telling them to warn their children and wards to leave Lekki toll gate. That's one. Two, on that day, around that time of the day, the only people that are usually left at Lekki toll gate are the people who come from the different shanties and ghettos around Oniru, Lekki itself, who would stay and mount guard on the protest ground. They would clean up. They were the ones who are largely there, people who are largely around Morocco axis. These are artisans who will come to work in Lekki during the week. They will stay on their work site and they will come to that place. The government itself was active in covering up what was happening. They were busy denying it, but there were people within the Lagos State Government Hospital Management Board who were telling us what was going on. There were people within Bobi who were telling us what was going on. The state was actively covering up things. People like DJ Switch, who had a live feed, had to run. What we're saying is not to have these insane discussions, because it's insane. The panel set up by the government itself was unequivocal in accepting that there was a massacre. Whether the government continues to tell these lies or not, the truth will keep popping up. It was one of their own that leaked this. People have photographic and video evidences. It will eventually come out. I paid for somebody who had gunshot injuries to his leg to be moved to Kano. If that guy had died, who would have come to find him in Lagos? How many people die in Lagos every day? Corpses on the street. Let them not gaslight us by demanding that the relatives of these people should come out to validate. These ones who died, that they claim that they picked up in Baja, picked up in this and picked up in that, are they not with relatives? How come nobody has come for them as well? It's simple. The state suppressed the evidence that is coming out 3 years after. It's nonsense. There were multiple people who came out to say that their people died, people who saw their friends dying in that place who never saw their bodies. So those people don't exist simply because the government says they do not exist. You cannot deny the humanities of these persons. Just as this memo is an internal memo, maybe somebody who didn't get his own share of the loot, who was disgruntled, leaked it. More of such leakages would happen. Those who stand on the truth are mortal, but the truth is immortal. Those who stand on top of it will die eventually, or they will leave office. Those who are afraid of telling the truth because of those in power today would have no need to be afraid tomorrow. They will speak.
Okay, real quickly. Two things. With all of this we've seen, do we have a society, in your own estimation, that is ready for the truth? Secondly, many years after, there were some recommendations made in that panel report. We have not seen some of them being done. What is happening? Because let's not forget, we politicized the society. It now became a case of for and against. The panel report that was supposed to be a rallying point for everybody. Are we ready for the truth as a society?
Rufai, I feel your pain and your anguish. They are a kindred spirit. Reality of the matter is that a society deserves the leaders or ruiners that it gets. And such is the case with the Nigerian society. We subjectivize the truth. So if A does it, it is bad. But when it is done by B, there is nothing wrong with it. Fact of the matter is that the Nigerian society is far removed from truth, but we will get there one day. It is incumbent on those who know the truth to refuse to be silenced. They have to speak that truth. Whatever the case might be, you only normalize evil when you keep quiet. I'm no saint, I'm not a reverend father or anything, but the fact of the matter is that insofar as it relates to these issues, those who know the truth and refuse to speak are just as guilty as those who pulled the trigger on that day. Those who have seen the truth and refuse to accept it and continues to normalize the lie, they are as guilty as those who held the guns. Those who helped them to clean up at the toll gate, the Loma staff who cleaned up that morning, they are as guilty as those who pulled the trigger. Those in the Lagos State Hospital Management Board and the mortuaries who processed the dead, removing bullets, they are as guilty as those who are covering up the murder. These are blood murders, and eventually people will speak. Whether some people want it or not, people will speak. That is as it relates to the Nigerian society itself. It is not about the dead any longer. Those ones are gone. They've gone to rest. It is us, those who are living. It is either we find the capacity to tell the truth and to embrace it, or we continue to run away from the truth and further into the quicksand into which we are all mad. It's up to us. The truth is not going to suddenly become a lie because somebody does not like it or the powerful are sat on top of it. It makes no difference. So Rufai, I feel your pain. I'm in pain myself. It's difficult to believe that we've descended this low to the point where we see the truth and continue to deny it, and the government will continue to set up lies and elevate them to the position of official statements. It's up to them, but the truth will catch up with everybody eventually.
Dele Farotimi, we would like to thank you very much for
I'm sorry,
joining
Rufai,
us.
I think there was something else you asked.
Well, we seem to have run out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.